Hi, I'm Tom Russell, and when I'm not on the Macs playing some records on the radio, I listen to Glasgow Apollo live.
All right.
Do it live, but it's
All right, brilliant.
both ways. The thing that I try and do, I think I've probably tried all my career to not live in the past forever. Yes, it's wonderful to hear Freebird and Stairway to Heaven and Highway to Hell. It's still wonderful to hear these songs, but you've got to make room for new sounds and new bands. In the last year, there's been so many new British and American, but quite a lot of new British rock bands have broken through. A couple of Scottish ones like Mason Hill and Anchor Lane.
Brilliant.
A lot of bands from Wales. Wales is a real hotbed just now for new rock bands. Those Damn Crows, for example. Terrific. Terrific.
To them last year. Yeah.
So it's good to. What I've always tried to do on all my shows is mix the new and the old. Well, it seems to work.
I like your rocking or shocking section.
Me too.
That's good.
See that Scott MacArthur guy? What do you reckon? Rocking or shocking?
Shocking, mate. He's always shocking.
Let's have
that won't end well. Let's
have a vote. All these people.
I remember the first time I heard you doing that, Tom. It was you did it with Avenged Sevenfold. And I played it, and I'd never heard of them. I love them ever since that you played that, because it was they're quite a challenging sound for old ears.
Nightmare.
It was Nightmare. They're fucking Nightmare. Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And my youngest son, who's 9, plays it on guitar and screams it at the top of his voice. That's your fault, Tom.
I've got a lot to be blamed for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are folks saying here? Let's have a look. What's this one here? It's thanks to Tom that I built up one of the largest collections of Iron Maiden records in Scotland. There you go. That's a guy, that's Liam, who is known very well Kent and Glasgow, around about the Solid. And his nickname's Lord Frost, Tom. He's a lovely fella.
Right. And
I think, how many? 8,500 CDs or something he's got.
Wow.
Yes.
Unbelievable. You know.
He's probably got the most complete Iron Maiden collection ever. In the world. He's got everything.
Never had him like it.
Everything. He's got everything.
Fanatic. Absolute fanatic.
You probably know him if you saw him, Tom.
You'd know him.
Oh yes.
There's so many people that I know in the scene, but I can't always remember the names. People that you bump into a couple of times and you chat away at gigs and things.
Absolutely.
I can't always remember everybody's name.
So back to the Apollo. I don't know if you've noticed this year, Tom, but the one thing that has been amazing is the number of new recordings that keep appearing. From the gigs that you guys recorded, and bootleg recordings, and what the guys call rescued recordings. And yesterday, I was going to play it in the show tonight, but I wasn't feeling very well. You know that this is not rock music, but they found a recording of Kid Creole and the Coconuts, and they played for 3 hours at the Apollo, and it's a really good recording. You should hear it. You need to hear it, because the one thing that I still marvel at, I don't know how you feel about it, guys, but is the racket that crowd used to make in that space. And when you hear whether it's a pop act or a rock act or a punk act, doesn't matter what it is, absolutely incredible.
I seem to remember I actually broadcast that recording. What they did at Clyde, they had a weekly show. They called it Rock This Town.
Right.
And it was on, I think it was on maybe 6-7 o'clock in the evening, once a week, maybe a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And they got me to host it, which just it's basically I talked it, entailed it, introduced the show, play the tape, and then say goodnight at the end of it. And I remember the Kid Fuel one, not particularly my bag, but you could appreciate how good they were when you sat there in the studio listening to the tape going on.
Yeah. Well, they're a great band.
I think the thing that's happened to me, I mean, I'm still going to gigs. I like new music. I've actually almost gone off the old bands now because I hear them so much. It's kind of, I'd rather go and see Rival Sons and Nightwish than I would go and see Whitesnake and, Alice Cooper even.
Mm-hmm. Because Scott.
Because I've seen all those bands. It's like, God, how many times have I seen Shitesnake? My God. But
how many times can David Coverdale stick his mic into the audience and say, "Sing for me, Glasgow"?
Yeah.
But I can't hear that. Sing it for me, Glasgow.
Exactly. Yeah. He's extremely good at that. But so I wanted to ask you. You and I have been chatting about interviews and stuff, and I wanted to ask you about the guests that you had that played at the Apollo. Obvious question: Who was the most fun to interview? I mean, you've done all these amazing interviews. Who was the most fun to interview? We did prep that question.
Two that I'll tell you quickly.
Yeah.
First one, Ozzy, but by a million miles. He's the funniest man I've ever met. Hilarious, funny guy. Just one of the guys, in company. He just takes over and just sits there and tells funny stories. Terrific. But the other one I remember, and I think it's in the book. It was early 80s, and I noticed a week before there was this band playing the Apollo on a Friday night, and they were called Vow Wow, VOWWOW, Vow Wow. They were from Japan, and they were on Arista Records, and the record company sent me up a copy of their single, the name of which I can't remember, and I'd listened to it, and it was all right, and I thought, that's worth a play on Friday night. And then I thought, well, they're playing the Apollo. They'll probably finish at the Apollo maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock. My show at that time started at midnight. So I thought, I'll chance my arm. Phoned up at Arista Records in London and said, the band up for doing an interview. The girl in London said, yeah, obviously. Nobody wanted to interview Vow Wow from Japan at this unusual rock band. So it was all arranged that they were going to come in live to Radio Clyde Studios at midnight after they come off stage at Apollo.
All right.
So this was terrific, and I started at midnight and gave it the big build up. Johnny is live, and the next 10 minutes will be Vow Wow. It's going to be great, terrific. So the band arrived, and they come into the studio, and there was there must have been about 12 of them. There was the members of the band, there was all their girlfriends, there was a guy from Sounds, remember Sounds magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Sounds?
Yes.
There was a photographer from the NME, and I think there was somebody from Melody Maker as well.
Jeez,
it was horrendous. So they all hello and sit down, and they sat down at the table, and the record that was playing, and I say again, record, it wasn't a CD or anything, we're talking very early 80s. So the record that I had on was nearly finished, so I queued up the Vow Wow single. So I play that. I got them all to sit down round about the table, and record finished, and I opened the two microphones, my microphone and the interview microphone. I said, well, welcome to Radio Clyde, the first time ever in Scotland. Wonderful to have them in with us. And it's Vow Wow from Japan. Hi, guys. And they all smiled over. And there was this girl with a camera. She was sitting at the interview table as well. I didn't understand what she was sitting there for. So I asked my first question. I said, well, this was your very first gig in Scotland, guys. You played the legendary Glasgow Apollo. Wonderful, huge stage. My first question, obviously, how did it go for you? So there was silence for a couple of seconds, and then the girl who was sitting beside them with the camera turned round to the singer and said, and the singer turned round to her and said, and she looked at me and said, "It was very good."
Oh.
And I thought, oh, that's my career in Radio Clyde finished. So none of them spoke English. The bass player did, because the bass player was actually Neil Murray from Whitesnake.
What was it?
Right. Okay. Oh wow.
But he didn't join in the interview. He was just like the hired hand. Somebody's just said Vow Wow played Night Moves. I think they maybe did Night Moves at another tour, but they definitely played the Apollo that night that I'm talking about.
Wow.
That's an inaccuracy on our website. We don't have it.
We don't have that at the website, do we?
Tut.
Another inaccuracy. Yeah. Oh.
Creeping.
Very good. So the obvious next question, Tom, have to ask it. Who was the worst person? You know, apart from Vow Wow and their language skills, but who was the most difficult person?
Who was the most challenging to? Well, they were quite challenging to interview, I guess.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just thinking maybe
I don't want to get Tom in trouble. You know,
maybe it was Night Moves that played. Maybe when I said, I mean, it was advertised they were doing the Apollo. And when I asked them how it was in the Apollo, when they answered that it was all wonderful, it was great. Maybe it was the Apollo. Maybe they didn't sell enough tickets, so they moved it to Night Moves.
Maybe.
Most challenging,
maybe.
Yes. There's one, and it's not even loosely connected with the Apollo story-wise. But back in those days, I used to be quite fortunate, and I've done a lot of interviews. And the guys at Radio Clyde, John McCalman, for example, would sometimes have a non-rock interview that nobody else was available to do. And I did all the rock ones. But John would maybe contact me and say, Tom, next week we've got an interview in London with such and such a band. Nobody else at Clyde can manage it. Could you go down and do the recording? And I thought, great, you know, a day's Skype from the record shop. You'd get a free flight down in BA shuttle and do an interview and back up, and you get a nice tea in the plane on the way home. So it was a good day out. So I got asked to do this particular one, and I thought, why not? So I went down. They picked me up at Heathrow in a nice big car and took me to this posh hotel in Kensington, I think it was. And they showed me into the hotel room where this star was looking out the window. I walked in, the girl from the record company said, "Oh, this is Tom Russell from Radio Clyde in Glasgow. This is so and so and so and so." So of course, naturally, you go over and you put your hand out to shake the guy's hand and say, "Good to meet you." And he turned around and looked at me as if there was a bit of shit in the end of his shoe, and he didn't shake my hand.
All right.
And I thought, all right, this is getting off to a poor start.
Well.
This one.
Yeah.
But no, I'll be professional. So I gets the tape recorder all set up, and I sat down, and he finally came over and sat down in front of me, and I started asking him the sort of standard questions. The reason the record company are paid for you to come down is he wants to plug his new album, his new single, at the tour.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
that's the deal, and you get some other interesting questions in as well. And I was asking him all these questions, like, are you looking forward to the tour? You've played Glasgow before, but it's maybe the Glasgow Apollo you're playing this day. I can't remember what it was. I'd maybe say it's the Glasgow Apollo you're playing. Any good memories of that venue? And the answers that were coming back were, aye, it was all right. All right, okay. You've got a new album out. It's an interesting title. Where did you get the title from? I can't remember. So it was literally as bad as that. He just wasn't interested. He was rude. He was unpleasant. And after about maybe 5-10 minutes, I came that close to just sort of saying, "Look, pal, get it right up, you.
Get lost.
You're an ass. You know, I don't know who you think you are. I've come all the way down to Glasgow to do an interview with you, to plug your album, plug your tour. You're not interested. So I'll tell you one thing, the interview will be going in the bin." I came close to saying that, but I didn't. I thought, no, I'll be professional. So I finished the interview, stood up, said, "Thank you very much for the interview," and I put my hand out again to shake his hand, and again he just walked away. Just a total arse. I wonder if any of our listeners can guess who it was.
Glenn Hughes.
No, Glenn Hughes. Lovely man. Lovely man.
He is a lovely man.
Lovely man.
Good singer.
Very professional. A good interview.
Was it David Coverdale, was it?
It wasn't. David Coverdale, lovely man.
Was it?
Right.
Pleasure to interview.
Was it
professional?
Barry Manilow?
Remember, it wasn't a rock.
Oh, wasn't it a rock star? Was it?
Wasn't what we call a rock band. John McCalman had asked me to do it as a favour because nobody else could go down. It was a poppy sort of act.
Come on, John. George Michael.
No, it wasn't George Michael. It wasn't Cliff Richard. It wasn't Rod Hull.
Rod Hull.
No. This is terrific, having the answers coming up at the side.
It's good, isn't it? It's a brilliant. It's brilliant.
I'll give you a hint.
He's a
guy.
Okay.
The guy had hair that wasn't brown, it wasn't black, and it wasn't blonde.
Simply Red. Mick
Correct.
Hucknall.
Correct.
Yes.
Well done, Scott.
Yeah. Famous arsehole. I've heard that many times. Of course, you couldn't possibly comment, but I could. Arsehole. Yes. Yeah. Great singer.
He's a good singer.
But not a nice person.
Ah, dear. Well, it takes all folks, I guess.
And it's nice to see his career, you know, his career has plummeted to the depths of...
Butlins.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's so bad now, he's supporting status quo.
Come on, man. It's the artist formerly known as Status Quo.
We have a bit of an ongoing thing about Quo, Tom, because, you know, they were like magic at the Apollo and they turned into this sort of weird, and this is probably too opinionated. Caricature of themselves. Yeah, and everybody that's gone to see them has problems with their intestines and stuff. You know, you need to get out of the fucking place as quick as you can because oh god. But anyway, so
I'll tell you a quick. You mind if I tell you another story?
Keep going, mate. No, of course.
No, keep going. That's what you're here for.
Back to the Apollo, and you remember when maybe 83, 84, something like that. There's a message from John. Sorry, Tom, for sending you on that trip. Hope the flight was good. You used to get your tea on the way home, John, from British Airways. I don't think you get that now. Yes, this band, an American band, massive in America, hadn't done that much touring-wise in the UK in the 70s and into the 80s. They had taken their makeup off. And they were touring.
There
was two support bands. The main support was a young band from New Jersey on their very first UK tour. And the local support was a band that you may remember from the Glasgow area, and they were called Glasgow.
Yeah.
There was two support back and acts at the Apollo that night. However, Kiss came in to Radio Clyde in the afternoon to do an interview, and it was Gene Simmons and also Paul Stanley. I've still got that interview on tape, and that's one of the tapes that I'd like to dig out, digitize, and get it up as a podcast, so people can have a listen to them. But after it was a smashing interview. Both of them really friendly, really professional. I couldn't fault either Gene or Paul, especially Paul. Gene was a little bit cool, but Paul was extremely friendly, open, honest. So they said, "Are you coming to the gig?" I said, "Yes, of course." The record company's been kind enough to give me a couple of complimentary. So on the night, I went along nice and early, watched Glasgow, who obviously they were chuffed about playing the Apollo stage for the first and I think only time.
Yeah.
Then the American band from New Jersey were both Bon Jovi, the first visit to Glasgow, and then Kiss came on, and they were terrific. They just such a professional, really professional show. And about halfway through the show, they stopped, and Paul said something like, "We'd like to dedicate this song to a good friend of ours." And he's sitting there on the front row of the balcony, and he pointed, and it was me. He said, "Tom Russell, we did an interview with him this afternoon. This is for you, Tom."
Fantastic.
Honestly, my wee part was it was one of the loveliest things that had ever happened.
That's nice.
It was nice.
Oh, that's cool. Did you not feel a bit weird? Everyone turning around and looking at you. Oh, did they clap? Did the people clap? You know.
It's
Bravo!
30 odd years ago, I can't remember.
40.
This is Kenny Brown saying Bon Jovi, the best support act I ever saw at the Apollo.
Yeah.
One of mine too.
I've heard the recording of this, bootleg recording, and it is the worst recording I've ever heard from the Glasgow Apollo. It's terrible. It's a bad recording. The performance is great, but the recording is terrible. Yes.
Yeah. And would that be from the Radio Clyde recording?
No, it wasn't. It was just an audience. Yeah. It's an audience. It's on YouTube. It sounds terrible, but I'm sure it was.
Did Radio Clyde record it?
If they had it, if they have, it's not been. No one's turned it up to Jack Lafferty's Rich Good recordings.
Right,
yeah, you haven't had that. Because that would
maybe not. Yeah. Maybe certainly Gene Simmons very much the businessman.
Aye.
Possibly we Clyde would have maybe contacted them and said, "Can we record you?"
Yes.
And they would have said, "Oh, how much you can pay us for it?"
Yes.
And, well, that wasn't how it worked.
Right.
There's a supplementary question on that gig because Glasgow, who we all, certainly all the rock fans that are here, we used to see them at Kelvin Grove and the Heathery Bar and the Cat House and all over the place. There wasn't an audience in for them, was there? It was just doing a sound check. Well, that's certainly what we heard before. Can you remember? Was it?
Yeah.
We were at that gig, but we didn't get to see Glasgow.
Oh.
Do you remember?
Thought they were on. I thought they played, but I thought it was really early. Maybe 6.
They did play, but right, maybe.
I think they were just doing the sound check. They were. Yeah.
We might have that wrong, mate. We might have that wrong.
I'll try and contact Mick or Archie or Neil or
That'd be great.
I think Joe Kilner. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but Mick, Archie, and Neil are still around.
Yeah.
They were great. I loved them.
Yeah. I did too. I thought they deserved to do better than they did. But
Radio,
certain level.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy.
Yeah. Radio Clyde did their record, their 12-inch.
Yeah.
I think it was a record that Radio Clyde put out. It was a Radio Clyde record.
Yes. What happened? Yeah. And in fact, John McCalman will be able to perhaps give us more on this. I think what happened. All these recordings had been made of everything from White Snake to Simple Minds to Barbara Dixon. There was all these hundreds of recordings that had been broadcast, and then the tapes had been put into a storage area at Radio Clyde, and John McCalman had archived them all, and they'd lain there for a number of years. And then Radio Clyde changed hands. The owners changed to a German company, bought them over. And the story that I seem to remember, that's the Glasgow album sleeve that just appeared there.
Yeah.
041.
Yeah.
And the new owners seemingly came in to do a sort of inventory, and they went into this cupboard, and a cupboard full of hundreds of tapes of recordings of all these wonderful bands over the years, from the Apollo and elsewhere, Marillion, Rory Gallagher, lots and lots of fabulous recordings. Thin Lizzy, great Thin Lizzy one. And the owners came in, and John was showing them round, and they went into this cupboard and said, "What's all this? This is a fire risk, all these hundreds of old tapes." And John said, "No, this is a wonderful archive. This is all these tapes that were recorded, bands over the years." And the German owners said, "No, it's a fire risk. Get it in the skip." But whether it actually happened that it went into the skip, or round about this time, a new record label started in Edinburgh, and it was called River Records.
Yeah, I remember them.
And there was some sort of deal done with Radio Clyde, and some of the Radio Clyde live recordings came out on River Records.
Yes,
I'm sure John could confirm.
Yeah, we've chatted to John about it. Yeah, pretty much the same story. And River Records, when Andy and I actually contacted River Records, they've gone now, but we actually had, because we at one stage, Tom, it was about 15 years ago, mate, it was a long time ago, we wanted to bring out an Apollo sort of compilation album. Mm-hmm. And we suggested to them we could do a rock one, a punk one, and a pop one, but nah, they wouldn't even talk to us. And we had an audience, but they wouldn't even talk to us, so it was, I don't know, they went bust, so I don't know what's happened to that stuff now. But, so God knows where it all is. But it brings tears to a glass eye, yeah, absolutely. But I've got, I mean, sorry, this accidentally fell into my computer, this picture. I've got a picture of your favourite performer here.
No.
Here is he? Oh, it's gone away again.
Nice to see he's aged well.
Tonight.
Nice to see he has aged well.
He's aged well, hasn't he? Yeah. Right. He's now our favourite pop star on the show, mate. You've given us somebody else to slag off, apart from Glenn Hughes. So, I mean, supplementary to these that sort of question. I know that you used to get a lot of tapes. Yeah. Folk would send you, demos and send you, the odd wee live track or whatever. Mm-hmm. What, is there a band that you remember? I know it's quite, we did prep this, but is there a band you remember that you thought, bloody hell, they're good, but they never made it?
Yes, a few.
Right.
I can't remember.
Yeah. There was hundreds, but I don't know who they were. Yeah.
Pacer?
Brilliant band. Yeah, they were great, man. They were great.
Saw them a few times.
Henry Gorman Band?
Brilliant. Yeah, good band as well. I thought Heavy Petting were quite unlucky not to get bigger. Because that first album's a great wee album.
Yes. I think Polydor, the story there, I've been told, is that Polydor put so much money behind them, recording, buying them onto the big tours with Motley Crue, with Ozzy Osbourne. It cost an absolute fortune. So when it came to album number 2, the record company said, right guys, we need a hit single. And the boys said, no, we write rock songs. And Polydor said, well, no, we've got a chance of getting you on the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, God, Romeo!
So we'll want you to write a song for the Eurovision Song Contest. And the boys said, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And Polydor says, yeah. you either do that or you're no.
Right.
So they wrote the song. I think it's Romeo, wasn't it?
Romeo, yes.
Romeo.
Yeah.
And they appeared on the heats for the Eurovision Song Contest, and of course the rock fans up and down the country, as far as Heavy Petting were concerned, it was bye-bye.
The end. Yeah, the end. But they were, I mean, I remember seeing them that night when they supported all. They were absolutely brilliant. They were brilliant. And I saw them again. I think we saw them at I certainly saw them in the venue in Edinburgh. Yeah. And they were brilliant again. You know, they really were. They were like a bit like. Do you remember when Thunder started? They were kind of big, and I mean, obviously they've made a good career now. They've done really well. But, hello, Danny. I hope you're feeling better, mate. Anyway, but you know, but it never happened for Heavy Petting. It was a real shame. It's a real shame. Credibility and all. Pete says, yeah, you're right.
The drummer in Heavy Petting, his name was Gary Moat, and he moved down south, and he reappeared 2 or 3 years ago, and he's still around. He's touring, in fact. He formed a band called Burnt Out Wreck,
right?
And he's dropped the drum kit, and he's the singer. He's the lead singer. And
is that right?
It's really, really good. He is Bon Scott reincarnated.
Oh,
he sounds just like Bon Scott.
Andy, this is the guy that you sent me the thing, isn't it? Is it no?
No.
Who was that? Tom might know who it is.
I can't remember.
I go to Bonfest every year, Tom. Up in Kerry. I don't know if you've ever gone to it in Kerrymuir. It's for me, it's the best festival in the United Kingdom. Right? It's absolutely brilliant. The whole of Kerrymuir goes AC/DC mental. And they have like a mixture. They have young bands, like they had Massive Wagons again last year, you know, and they had the Wild Hearts were on, and Gunner doing it this year. And, you know, they have all these sorts of bands on, but they also have all these AC/DC cover acts. And of course, there's 5,000 AC/DC fans in a tent. It's absolutely brilliant. And there's a guy Andy found, and he was like Bon Scott when he was just unbelievable.
It wasn't Gary Moat. No.
But amazing how these guys are around. I wish, I wish you see these 18 again. I really do.
See, this is funny. I was listening to Radio Scotland last night, so it'll be Radio Scotland in the morning.
Yeah,
I was doing the dishes, and I heard the guy come on, and he's gone, "Oh, I just heard it was something to do with Rod Stewart, and Rod Stewart had seen this guy on Instagram or something, or TikTok, and it was a band called Vintage Explosion. Have you heard of them, Tom?
Nope, I haven't come across them.
No, and they were doing. The guy did. He said, much as I love Frankie Miller, you know, Frankie Miller's like, this is Rod Stewart talking. Rod Stewart says, I love Frankie Miller, and he goes, this guy in Vintage Explosion is as good as Frankie Miller, and up there with Sam Cooke. It's a Scottish band. I don't know where. I think they're from Glasgow. And then the band were in the studio and they played "Change Is Gonna Come," and he does kind of sound a bit like Frankie Miller. He's good. I haven't looked him up yet.
I'll check them out.
I don't know where they're from, but Vintage Explosion, I think it was something like that.
Google that after we finish here.
Yeah.
But he did sound a bit.
There's Gary.
Did sound a bit. Yeah.
That's him with Burnt Out Wreck.
Yeah.
That's a good name as well.
It's a good name. It is a good name for a band.
They're on their second album, if not, it might even be their third album they just released, and the songs are good.
Right, need to check him out.
Oh, didn't he write a lot of the songs in?
Yes.
In Heavy Petting.
Yes, it tended to be Moat and Hamey, the singer. Gordon Boner, I think, was the other one. It was writing.
Actually.
On you go.
Oh, okay, on you go. No, on you go.
That's all right, mate.
No, on you go.
No,
actually, the guy out.
To me, mate. Come on.
To you, to me, to you.
Get up.
I was the guy I sent you, Scott, was I heard Tom, and it was a guy called Jason Sweeney.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, so he sounds like Bon Scott.
Jason was the singer in.
There's a singer in some other.
No, there was a band maybe 5 years ago that was.
All right, okay.
Did a couple of albums out, Scottish band,
okay.
and played the circuit. And again, they got so far and didn't get that extra step. And
the other breed
split up. Say again.
The Other Breed was one of the bands he was in.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. It'll come back to me. And then he went solo 2 or 3 years ago, and his stuff's really good. He's a good writer, good front man, good performer.
Yeah, and he sounds exactly like Bon Scott. That's what I went. Whoa, that guy sounds like Bon Scott, because I love Bon Scott. He's a brilliant singer. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did you see AC/DC? Well, thank you very much. Did you ever go see AC/DC at the Apollo?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. In fact, any memories of that?
I still get into trouble because the night I've got 2 children, a daughter Heather and a son Neil, and the afternoon that my daughter was born, my then wife was in labour all afternoon, and I, as the proud father, spent the afternoon mopping her brow, and then round about 6 o'clock in the evening, this little baby appeared, and it was wonderful. Obviously, any dad out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just a wonderful feeling when you're firstborn. And Heather popped out and her eyes opened and she looked at me and I looked at her. And, everything was great. That was 6 o'clock. Round about 7:15, I was in Lauder's bar. And
was she born in Rotten Row?
Yes. She was
not far then. Not far from Lauder's.
I was in Lauder's and I think I had 2 pints of heavy and two large whiskies. And round about 7:45, I was in the Apollo watching AC/DC.
What a day! That's a busy day, man.
1979 to 1980, somewhere about.
Yeah. You did say that was your ex-wife. You did say that was your ex-wife. Anyway.
Yes. It was.
Well,
we've got young James.
Well, it's different times then. You know, the fathers weren't that considered as much.
Young James is one of our regulars, and he's a musical savant. Apart from rock music, he doesn't do rock. But he's asking, did you ever come across a power band called Photomaker?
No.
Who had a controversial first album cover? But I remember that I've seen the album cover. It is definitely controversial. And then look at James recommended Tom, my son. James is 23. Get up.
Tom, the band. One of our viewers there, stream viewers, just said that was it Attica Rage that Jason Sweeney was in?
No. Attica Rage were an excellent band. They were from the Greenock area. And again, they got so far. They had, I think, 3 albums plus a live album. They got top management. Got a lot of big tours, but just couldn't get that extra. But yes, Jason wasn't in. What was the band he was in? Jason. No.
I'll come to you. I'll come to you in 2 days. Yeah.
He's saying, I think I may be a savant, but I'm too stupid to know. Oh dear.
No.
Oh dear. I've got to ask you another question. Right, that's one of the other things, Tom, that one of the guys on the. By the way, we've got 12,100 members in the Facebook group now, right? And a really high visitor rate, like thousands of people a week. It's amazing. And one of the guys, Wally, is a bit of a designer, and he's designing a 3D model of the Apollo from the plans, right? And we've got like Willie Potts has been helping him, and John Henry, and all these guys that were, Apollo guys. Have you got into the Apollo kicking about your house?
No, but I do remember the last rock gig at the Apollo, which was Uriah Heep and Palace, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
I remember coming out the front entrance at the end of that and watching all these guys running down Renfield Street carrying chairs, seats. I wish I had a camera for that. Right. Stolen the seats.
We've seen a few.
No, I don't know.
That's
some
a
of the
shame.
stuff that comes up on the site that is incredible. Some of the photographs that'll just appear, and the one of the famous ones is taken from during the demolition.
Yes,
there's a photograph from the stage, and the big JCB is there, and it's knocking down, and the roof's already away, and you can see the circle, and it's just so sad. But some of the stuff that Willie Potts has been putting up on the channel, I think, is incredible. When he tells the story about how Glasgow Council could have put a bit of money in. Yes, the old building was done. It would have probably taken millions to renovate it. Yeah. But you know,
it would have been
Glasgow Council spend millions on some things, but it'd be nice for them to spend millions on that.
And it would have been a lasting thing. It's not like what like it would have lasted till now if they'd fixed it up then. Yes. Hopefully,
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear they're shutting down
but
the
then
cinema.
We wouldn't be talking about it.
No, maybe not.
Are they?
Maybe not. I believe so. No, I think I don't know. Was it you, Kenny? I think somebody told me last week that they're shutting the cinema down. So,
wow. My dad's not going to be pleased.
Does he go there
all the time? Yeah. Well, I don't know if he goes. He used to.
The thing is, the other thing though, I mean, I don't know what you think about this, but the way the music industry's changed, you either play in tiny little venues or you play in arenas these days, don't you? There's very few of those interim size, like the Playhouse, the Apollo, the Newcastle City Hall, even the Apollo in London. They're not as busy as they used to be. These venues. I mean, it's a real shame.
Well, I don't know. There's the Glasgow
Barrowlands,
I guess. Yeah, no, that's true.
Venues. Barrowland, the Academy, the ABC in Sauchiehall Street, which of course is no longer there, it was burned down, but that was a fabulous venue. The Garage, the SWG3 finishing.
What's that like? What's that place like? It's SWG3.
That's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Two or three different size halls, and it's it's okay. And there's that one, the Wing Docks next to the Barrowland, St Luke's and the Wing Docks.
Yes.
Place, but again a fabulous venue.
Yes.
And Oran Moore as well.
Very well serviced. And the Garage, the Garage is.
To be honest, Tom, Glasgow's lucky. I mean, you go to. I mean, London now is fucked for music. I mean, the venues have all closed. The 100 Club's still there. The Roundhouse is still there. But the most of the others have gone. There isn't a scene. I mean, there's a prog scene, but there's not really a rock scene anymore. It's really sad, to see these venues all shutting down. I mean, I used to work a lot in London. I used to go and see bands like The Answer and Rival Sons and Temperance Movement and all these brilliant. There's nowhere for them to play anymore.
Played a brand new single from The Answer on Thursday night there on my show.
I was just going to say, Tom. I was just going to say, I listened to your show and I saw them. I saw them at a venue here. It was called the Annandale Hotel. Tiny venue, sort of reminded me of the Garage, the Mayfair. When the Mayfair was around, that kind of size. Singer John, it was. I think they were supporting AC/DC at the time. And the singer, I didn't go to see AC/DC that tour, but I went to see The Answer, and the guy jumped off the stage and he was jumping through the crowd and he was singing, and he's a brilliant front man and a brilliant band.
I think his name, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
great
Anthony Robbins saying, Tom, Palace and Uriah Heep all signed my seat before I went to drown my sorrows in shadow.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. Pete, the 100 Club is open, mate. I was supposed to be going next week. It's still well open and still gigging. Still got Blues Night every week. It's a great venue still. Paul McCartney put some money into the 100 Club. That's why it's still open.
All right. Here's John Henry saying Jason Sweeney's band called the King Lot.
That's it.
John, well done, mate. Yes.
Well done, John. Well done, John. That's a good name. The King Lot.
Mm-hmm. Couple of good albums. Good song.
Right. I'll check them out. I'm going to listen to Jason later on in the day. After I listen to your show again, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a single called "She's a Fighter."
Right.
Jason.
Yes.
I think that was possibly his first solo single. It's a good song.
That was the one I heard. I think that's the one you played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, good band. Yeah.
So, how are we doing for time here? God, look at the time. My God, you okay for time, Tom? Can we keep littering? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Tell you what, we'll have a wee 3 minutes because I've got bronchitis. I need to just get a drink. I've got Slade queued up, folks. Let's take 3 minutes, and in 3 minutes we'll come back and we'll have more from Tom. Keep these questions coming. There's loads of them, Tom. We're going to be here all bloody night. So let's just have a wee bit more of Slade from '82 at the Apollo. Second half of this thing I had queued up earlier, and we'll give us 3 minutes. See you in a minute, guys. band. Absolutely brilliant. How good was Slade?
Very good.
Fucking brilliant. We've probably got, I think Rory Gallagher and Slade are probably the two favourite bands we have in here, Tom. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves them.
Was that recording from the Apollo?
That was 82
Yes.
at the Apollo, yeah.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I like the fact when he's
no backing tracks or anything.
Nothing.
no nothing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like it when he's singing and he's kind of laughing. There's a point where he just laughs. Sort of, he must be looking at something in the crowd, going a bit mental. But you know, that would have
really
been
fantastic.
if you're watching the Apollo crowd from the stage, looking at them all jumping up and down. You know, just they're probably all headbanging at that point. Their balcony would have been mental.
Yeah,
great.
Here's a nice. We saw it, Tom. This is from Kenny, who's a lovely guy, and he's one of our regulars. Tom, your rock show on Radio Clyde at midnight kept me sane in my youth. Thank you on behalf of all the Scottish rock fans. You're part of the fabric of Glasgow rock music. Come along to meet at Lauder. Scott will let you know the details. Absolutely. And Kenny will buy you a drink.
Oh, in that case, count me in.
Yeah. Kenny, thank you, mate. Wait. Sorry?
When is it this year?
It's the 26th. Well, it's not quite agreed. Lauders are a bit busy at the moment, so I've asked them for the 22nd of April, which is a Saturday. And I have to say, when Andy and I put it on the Facebook group, there was literally hundreds of people said they were going to come. So I'm a wee bit worried about it at the moment in terms of I don't quite know how we're going to cope, which is a great thing. You know, it's a great thing. But it looks like Lauders, but it might not be, just depends on what the numbers are like. We got over 100.
If you could keep a ticket, I'd be happy to.
Oh, absolutely.
Terrific.
The cost you, it's double price for you, Tom, and treble for fucking somebody else who's a D. Who's not so keen, not so popular in here. Which is it's actually quite funny, isn't it? No, I need to talk about this. We had Billy Sloan on, right?
I listened to, mate, on a Sunday morning, I listen to Billy Sloan. Yeah. I do listen to Billy.
We had Billy Sloan on, Tom, and my and this is very personal, and Billy, if you're watching, I've told Billy this story anyway. I couldn't stand Billy Sloan, right? I hated his show. I didn't like him. He was anti-rock. I just didn't like him. See, when he came on the show, he was one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I spoke to him on the phone for fucking hours before the show. He was lovely. It's weird, you know, I had all these memories of this guy who was an arsehole, you know, I really didn't like him. And by God, he got a load of abuse from the punters, didn't he? You lot. He
got some pelters. He got some pelters.
Yeah. But I'd defend him now. He was so nice. 1-to-1, he was really nice. And he was a bloody rock fan, despite all his orange juice pish that he used to talk about. You know,
he used to come in. Billy lived in, I think it was Springburn. He used to come into my Bishopbriggs shop when he was just a cub reporter on the record, and buy records. And to be honest, I can't remember him ever. He was always nice, and I got on well with Billy.
He's lovely.
Always have done.
He was lovely.
I can never remember him ever buying a rock record.
You know,
the neatest thing he ever bought.
So there you go. See, somebody else said to me, he's only pretending to be an AC/DC fan, you know, and I wasn't sure, but he was very nice to us, and he's got lots of memorabilia and good stories. So there you go.
I remember him buying a Sex Pistols, or ordering a Sex Pistols single.
We actually paid for it.
He did.
Right, moving on swiftly.
Remember, he was just a cub reporter at the time. You know,
right.
Before he started doing all the big interviews and things, and I can remember him coming in one day, and he was raving about. He'd been down at, I think it was Leeds or somewhere like that. He'd travelled down to see this new punk band that were causing a sensation, called the Sex Pistols.
Right.
I don't think they ever played Scotland. Maybe they did. They played Ballaugh, didn't they?
I think they did. They booked the Apollo, but they got banned before they got to do it.
Yeah.
Two bands, Tom, if you know. Sex Pistols booked the Apollo, got banned, and Metallica were booked to play Clouds.
Really?
They were?
Yeah.
With was it Anthrax? And
that ended up at the Barrowland, that tour.
Aye, and it didn't happen. Yeah.
They moved it to the Barrowland.
Is that right? I didn't know that. There you go. But that would have been another band I'd love to see Metallica at the Apollo. Imagine that. That would have been absolutely
That I'm
amazing.
pretty sure was after the Apollo had closed.
Right, well, they were booked to play
Well,
Clip
there's posters of Metallica and some other band and another band, and it's Cloud. Yeah.
All right,
Clouds,
okay.
yeah.
It was definitely the Barrowland because I was at the game.
I think this might be Liam again. He says, sorry, I can't see the name here for some reason. It says, as a young 14-year-old metalhead back in 92, so Liam's just a child. I stayed up on a Friday night to listen to Tom's Clyde One Rock Show. Introduced me to lots of bands, which I still listen to now. Thanks, Tom. There you go. That's nice.
Thank you, Liam.
Man. That's lovely. It's really nice. God, there's loads of... Hang on, let me just get through these. He was talking about poor... the other DJ, as we call him, he was as popular as Jimmy Hill. Yeah, you're probably right. But he was lovely. He was really nice. I mean, I remember him. He called me after the show and he said thank you and anything I can do to help. Could not have been nicer. No chance. Could not have been nicer. Here's somebody just saying it was the Penthouse Metallica. Yeah. If anyone's got the image of it, hang it on the Facebook group because Tom would probably be interested.
I'm having a look actually.
I may be able to find it, but
yeah.
I'm very impressed with the technical side of what you guys are doing. You know, this whole having all the different faces up there and the comments down one side and the fact that you're able to put, if somebody mentions something, the picture comes up. It's very impressive, the whole thing.
Thank you. That's magic. It's it's taken us 2 years to be this bad. This is our 89th show, Tom. Right?
89th. Wow.
89th, and I do another show, and I've done 100 of them now. So this is my 200th show, which is ridiculous. Here you go. Somebody's got it. I knew they would. These lovely people they always get it for us. April '84, Metallica were booked to play a UK tour. It was all cancelled. There were 3 bands in the bill. They played London. There you go. So it was just a year before the Apollo shut.
Right.
And here it is here, okay. Yeah. Exciter, that's right. Exciter. Metallica. Brilliant. Imagine that, eh? Unbelievable.
That would have been good.
Unbelievable.
The one that they played the Barrowland with Anthrax, I think that was the tour that the bass player was killed on. After they played Barrowland, they went out and did the European dates, and was it Sweden? I think the bus crash when Cliff Burton was killed.
Right. Gosh. Have you heard their new single?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I like it. Metallica fell off a cliff for me, you know, and after the Black Album, I just didn't like much of what they did. I like the new single.
Oh, right.
New single is very good.
What's it called, Andy? I can't remember. It's a funny name. It's
Lux. Eternal Lux in
yeah. It's
Lux
probably
Eterna. Lux Eterna. Sorry, it's called Lux Eterna, I think.
And it's quite melodic.
Yeah.
Vocally. He does he does all that sort of he does a wee bit of that, but right at the very end of the song, you know, rather than all the way through it.
I think he's been had a time off from recording albums, done good things for his voice because he's singing really well. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Oh, and another point. We'll come back to the Paul in a sec, but wee Paul's back in Gun again. Don't know if you heard.
Yes, I did.
Aye, it's good news.
Good.
Yeah, good news. I'm looking forward to seeing them. As I say, they played at Bonfest in April, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them. Great band. Love them. Absolutely fantastic outfit. So back to the Apollo.
Paul, along with Ted McKenna, 2 of the greatest drummers certainly ever to come out of Scotland, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going to send Paul that clip.
And he started saying me in English. I don't know.
Oh dear. But he's done really well, Paul, and it's so cool that he the story I've told you. I think I told you a story on the phone, Tom, but I remember when we must have been, I think it was 11. We had a sort of school music competition, and Paul won it by a country mile, and he came on the stage to do his piece. Yeah, and he had his uncle on keyboards. You know, are you weren't there at my school? You were at another school. You weren't there. And
he wasn't. I was at Curluke High School. We were at
so
Curluke High School.
Oh, well, you were there then. Oh, I'm thinking primary school. Sorry. Yeah. And no, it was at the old high school. You know, the one they knocked down. It was in that hall.
Yes. What, the new one that they knocked down?
It wasn't long after he'd been on Glenn Michael's Cavalcade, and he came on with his uncle. His uncle had this massive Hammond organ, right? And he had like dry eye. I mean, this is mind blowing for us. This must have been, what year was that? Must have been 78, I think it was, Tom.
That must have been first year, because I no recollection of this. Yeah.
Have you not? I don't think you and I were mates at that point, were we? I don't think we were.
Yeah, but I would remember the guy with the Hammond organ and dry ice and the.
So they came on. And I remember Paul had this. Do you remember Magnum Sounds down in Wishy?
Yeah, well, he was the drummer. And, yeah.
And he came on and he played the 1812 Overture with his uncle giving it loudly on the Hammond and the dry ice, and we were all standing there like this. You know, he was absolutely amazing. Amazing. That was him at 11 years old. Fantastic. Anyway, that was a bit of a walk down
right, hold on. I'm going to send you a picture, Scott.
Okay.
What's on WhatsApp?
Someone's saying the new Metallica song is a return to form. It's a blend of Diamond Head and Motorhead. Is that you, Liam? That's not a bad shout, mate. It's not a bad shout at all. Yeah. But Diamond Head have been touring again, actually. They never quite made it either, did they?
They'll go down in history as being the band that were a huge influence on Metallica, especially ours in the early days.
Great song. My Evil song is brilliant. I remember seeing them at Donington doing that. They were getting bottled and they started playing that song. Everybody went, oh, that's quite good, that song. Everything changed. Everything changed.
I sent you a picture of the flyer from that tour. That's on WhatsApp.
Okay, what's
so
that?
You can pop it up there.
I'll see if I can get it to work. So, Tom,
I'd do it, but I can't remember.
Another question, just about the Apollo. Did you ever come across Frank Lynch?
Oh yes.
Did you?
Did you so much in the? I mean, he was God in the days of the Apollos. Apollo when he was Mr. Unicorn Leisure.
He was.
But I met him. I had a nice conversation with him at the Armadillo when. Oh yeah. Do you remember when they had the Apollo Memories show?
I was there.
Aye.
That was Tommy McGrory.
Tommy McGrory from Paisley, yeah. And Frank was there. He was invited over and had a nice conversation with him, with Frank.
He's a lovely man, and his wife's lovely as well, actually. And he's come over. He's getting on a bit now, but he's still around. And there was one time he came over just to see us, to be honest. And he's got nothing. You know, that man has got nothing from the Apollo, not a single thing. And he came over to see us, and I gave him one of the Status Quo, you know, the tickets they gave out in the 76 show, the famous one. I was there, you know, one of them. And he was in tears. And he said to me, he said, I didn't think anybody gave a shit about the Apollo until you guys started doing the website. I mean, that was brilliant. That was amazing that day. Never forget it. Never forget it. And, let me just see if I can find this picture. You're behaving, mate. Can you send it to Facebook?
Yeah, sure. No. Tom, do you think that how would you think that going to the Apollo would influence the Scottish music scene? How would you think if you were a punter? How do you think that would? If you're a punter, would you just think I could never get there, or any thoughts on that?
I don't quite understand.
So if you were just at how do you think the Apollo would influence people's
right? Well,
future music choices, or being a musician, or
like just
how
when you look at what one of the things that you put up on the site quite regularly is sort of this week or this month, the variety of bands that would be playing. You'd have, quite often you'd have five nights in the week where you had something on at the Apollo. It could be a metal concert one night, a pop concert the next night, a jazz or country and western, and then another rock band. The variety was sensational. But as Scott was saying earlier on, as an 11-year-old, because one of the Willie Potts talked about the finances, and if they were allowed to sell alcohol at the Apollo, it might have made a difference. They could have made a profit on the selling of alcohol, and maybe kept it running a bit longer than the old place. But on the other hand, if they were selling alcohol, you couldn't have gone with the old licensing laws back in the 70s and 80s. You couldn't have gone to the Apollo if you were 11. Whereas the way it was, an 11-year-old could go along and see a band for the first time and be gobsmacked and go, "Wow, this is for me." And you know what it's like. You see a rock band for the first time as a youngster. I keep talking about rock because that's my bag. But you see a rock band when you're a youngster of 11, and maybe you don't like it. Maybe it's maybe not for you, which is fair enough. But so many of us, probably most of the people that are watching and listening to this tonight, saw a band at the Apollo or the Barrowland or the Mayfair or some of these places, or the Heathery Bar in Wishaw or the venue in Turkey Hall Street. Saw a band for the first time, a rock band, and they get that little tingle down the back of the neck. And just went, "Wow, this is for me."
Yes.
Once you've joined the squad, that's you for life.
Once you've tasted
the forbidden fruit.
Yes.
Exciter, the Hell on Earth tour. Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, that the Wings and Paul McCartney gig that was on this week, way back when, that was the first time I was at the Apollo, and that was the first taste that I got of, being in a massive venue with those mad people that I didn't like. I was just coming from, just me and my sister and my dad, and my dad had obviously been to there, but just being in that arena and just experiencing all the mad smells and the people and the guy headbanging beside me, and I'm like, what's this guy doing? I don't know what is this guy? It's not like to Wings. I don't know what he was. It was probably Live and Let Die. He was probably headbanging to Live and Let Die. But I remember playing when he played the piano, probably Hey Jude or something, and I just remember watching it going, that was incredible. And then the pipe band come on, and you're like, what? There's more like what's going on here? This is mental pipe band and all that.
I think
brilliant gig.
I think I saw Wings 3 times. The first time was at the Apollo. And I think it was Jimmy McCulloch that was on lead guitar at the time, or maybe Henry, the Irish guy. And it was terrific. It was actually a very, very good. I mean, you were seeing Paul McCartney on the stage. This is wonderful.
That guy was a Beatle.
But it was a great show. Then the second time was at Loch Lomond, the Bear Park at Loch Lomond. There was a festival, and Wings played one of the nights, and with Denny Lane, and it was all right. But then the third and final time I saw them was at the SEC.
Oh dear!
And the sound was fine. It was all right gig. But my abiding memory of it was, the huge stage at the SEC, and they had Linda McCartney in a star spot, playing her keyboard.
Excellent.
And playing away during the set. And about halfway through the set, the riser that the keyboard was set on started lifting, and it went up and up and up and up, up into the rafters. And of course, a huge roar came up from the audience. I don't know whether it was because Linda McCartney was disappearing up into the stratosphere, or if it was just, something was happening. Let's have a roar. And then the riser came back down again. And I turned around to the guy I was with, and I said, "What was that about?" It just lifted up and then came back down again. Is that Wings at the Apollo?
That's Wings at the Apollo,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Classic picture.
Wow. Yeah. I'm over there on the right. I don't know if you can see me.
I can see
it. sorry. I'm over there on the left. I'm on the left beside.
Excellent.
Near that column. There's three kids and a dad. That's me. That's
you, mate.
Somebody's saying here Wings never played Loch Lomond. Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe it was Denny Lane. I remember Denny Lane.
All right.
So maybe it was Denny Lane and his band rather than Wings. Not the Apollo, the Balach.
It could have been Balach, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've got people on here. There's a guy called the Professor. Is the Professor on tonight? I don't think he's on, is he? I think I've seen him.
Yeah.
He might be.
Yeah.
But we've got people on here, Tom, that honestly, the recollection that they have is almost like ridiculous. What are you going to say?
That's one of our correspondents, one of our viewers, contributors, Derek McAdam. He used to run a record shop in. I've forgotten. Troon?
As well.
Is it Troon?
No, it was
Orion Sounds. He had a record shop called Orion Sounds. Yeah, but he had the jacket in as well.
Now I'll put money on this guy, Kenny, who you know, right? Kenny's a lovely fella, and Kenny, right now, I bet you, Kenny Brown, you've got your ticket for that fucking gig in your hand, haven't you? He sits in his wee study, right, and he's got all this fantastic memorabilia. Kenny, admit it. Are you sitting with your ticket in your hand? I bet he is.
Yeah.
But it's
as long as
so
that's
good.
all he's got in his hand.
Oh well, yeah.
Irvin. Derek. Irvin. That's where Derek's.
There you go. I knew it. See, I knew it. But it's so nice, Tom, because we get people on here. I mean, there's a chap, a lovely fellow on just now, Doug, who's he makes television programs in America, and he's an artist for NASA. And we've got this array of people. I mean, there's a guy on from I live in a place called Morton Marsh down in the Cotswolds, and there's a guy here who's become a very good friend of mine. Do you remember the band The Fakes?
Yes.
He was in The Fakes.
All right.
And there's it's just every time.
That H was in The Fakes, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't know, but
he ran Rockers.
He'll come on in a minute. Oh, I remember Rockers. I saw who was that we saw that night, Andy? Was it Gunn we saw in there after the Apollo show at Rockers? Remember? Was Gunn or was it Glasgow?
That was La
Paul
Paz.
was drumming.
It was La Paz.
Was it La Paz? It was La Paz. That's what
it was. I think Tom got us on the guest list.
I think it might have been you, Tom. Yeah. And but things like that. I mean, even we've had like Kevin McDermott's on quite a lot. We've got Toya's been on a few times. We've got Glenn Matlock, who I mentioned earlier, has been on. And the great thing is now that they talk to the guys, and it's just amazing. It's so nice that everybody's just sort of. I guess we're all of an age now, but it's still really nice that happens. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. But now there was one other thing I wanted to ask, and I've forgotten who the hell it was. Somebody asked me, ask you a question. Somebody asked, what do you think about the difference between audiences in Glasgow and Edinburgh? Is there a difference?
People say there is, but I've been at many a gig in the Playhouse after the Apollo closed. Remember, there was a number of years when touring bands, the one Scottish date would be the Edinburgh Playhouse for a number of years, and I've been at some fabulous gigs in Edinburgh as well.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much difference. Somebody with a couple of pints in them and enjoying the music, then
I remember going to see. Did you go to the Twisted Sister show that was in the Playhouse?
Upstairs,
Aye.
above the Playhouse.
Aye.
What was that place called?
Oh, can't remember. But they were unbelievable.
Oh, they were sensational. That
yeah,
night.
What a night!
Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, and you know what? You know who I saw the next night in that same place? Chris Rea.
Huh?
He was good as well. Like, in fact, he was fantastic. But
well, Chris, there's a story. Now, I'm going to tell you this one, then I'm going to my bed because I'm getting tired.
Cool.
I'm getting old. It's Christmas Eve tomorrow. Chris Rea was relatively unknown. First album just out, and record rep Matt Donald, his name was. He was the record rep for Magnet Records, and Chris Rea was on the Magnet record label for his first couple of albums. And Matt came into my record shop half 4 one afternoon, and we're chatting up. He said, "By the way, are you doing anything tonight, Tom?" I said, "No." He says, I've got a couple of passes for a gig at the Apollo. You up for it? And I said, aye, why not? So 5 o'clock, shut the shop, went in at Glasgow, and went to Burns House for a couple of pints.
Cool.
The band who were playing the Apollo were Lindisfarne. And Lindisfarne, when I had lived and worked in Newcastle for a number of years, my late teens, early 20s, and there you are, Chris Rea. And in Newcastle, Lindisfarne were gods. They were the band, and I'd seen them twice, I think, live, and they were fabulous. I really liked Lindisfarne, so I was delighted. So we're having 2 or 3 pints in the Burns House, and this guy walks in, and Matt pulls him over and he's beside us. It's Chris Rea, because Chris Rea was supporting Lindisfarne that night at the Apollo. So 2 or 3 pints became another 2 or 3 pints, and it became 2 or 3 little whiskies as well. And Chris Rea kept saying, "Oh wait, I can't have another one. I'm on stage at 7:15." No. But Matt kept buying him drinks, and he was wobbling a wee bit. So it got to about 7:05. Listen, I've got to go. And off he went and ran up Glenfield Street or whatever it is to get to the Apollo, to get in the stage door, to go on the stage. Matt and I finished the drink, went up, got in time. He was maybe halfway through his set. And there's not that many people in the stalls watching this Rea. But he was getting a polite applause. Then the last song, whatever the last song was, it was quite a sort of an up-tempo song. Remember, it was only his first album, so like The Road to Hell wasn't recorded. And he played this last song, and he got a really good cheer at the end of it. And he was that chuffed that he jumped off the stage. I don't know if he broke his ankle or sprained his ankle when he the height of the stage at the Apollo.
Yes.
And
25.
aye. And that was it. That was the end of the story. Lindisfarne then came on. Lindisfarne were fabulous. End of story. 3 or 4 years later, Chris Rea had become quite a big star. The Road to Hell and the Christmas song, Drive Home for Christmas, and they'd done very, very well at Chris. And again, John McCalman. We've got an interview in London, Tom. Nobody else from Clyde can go down and do it. I know it's not really a rock; it's more sort of pop. But would you go down and do it for us? Who is it? It's Rea. Oh, no problem. So I fly down, get taken to the hotel, get shown into the room to interview Chris Rea. Big star now. He looks up and says, You're the bastard that got me pissed in Glasgow. Got me to jump off the stage at the Apollo and I sprained my ankle. And every winter it still gives me loup.
Excellent. Well, That's a brilliant story to finish with, Tom. Listen, it's been brilliant having you on, mate. And
thank you, Scott.
Really sorry about the tech. I don't know what the hell was going on at the beginning.
Probably my fault.
Right. We got through it. Nobody's fault.
It, mate. Fantastic. Doesn't matter. But that was a real pleasure. And everybody out there, I've been putting the details up during the show. If you've never read this, it's fantastic. And I'm sure if you ask, Tom will sign it for you.
I got a pile. The publisher sent me another big box for Christmas. I've sold a few of them, but I've still got a few more there.
Brilliant.
If anybody wants one, easiest way nowadays. Well, you can get it from Amazon. You can get it on Kindle. But if you want a proper copy signed, if you contact me on Facebook or Twitter or through Scott and Andy, I can tell you how you can pay for it, and I can sign it and post it off to you.
Fantastic. Well, Tom,
thanks,
you're a gentleman. It's been so cool seeing you again, having you on the show. Hope we can see you in April.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, and we'll get some photographs, and you'll meet all these loonies, these wonderful people we've got in this group.
And I might even be forced to buy a round.
Oh, bloody hell! No, I've not heard that before.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to text Billy Sloan and tell him. Anyway. Anyway, thank you very much. We absolutely
thanks, Tom.
So cool. It makes our year every time you come on, mate. So thank you.
Yeah,
and have a smashing Christmas and Sunday.
You too, mate. All the best.
Thank you.
And your family.
Thank you, Tom.
Good night, Tom.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you.
Well, everybody, that was brilliant. Really sorry about the start. That was annoying, but Tom, as always, is just great value, and I love his stories. Absolutely love them. Absolutely brilliant. John McCallum's saying, wonderful show, 3 hours. Suggest you edit it for the repeat with Tom's bit as a separate show. I think you're right. What we'll try and do is take out all the crap where we got the sound wrong, John. If I get time, I'll try and do that. So that's a good idea. Good idea. Pete's sending Tom's still there actually. Pete's sending good health to you, Tom. And but thanks very much. So guys, that's our last show until New Year. Now next week's all a bit of a blur. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Do you know what you're doing yet? Next Friday.
What's next Friday date?
Oh, I don't know. What's that? New Year's Eve, isn't it?
That's 31st. I don't know what I'll be doing.
So, if I can wangle it, we'll have a show. But if not, what we'll do is we'll certainly put a replay up of some show, or we'll put some. I'm quite tempted to play the whole of that Slade rescue recording because it's just so bloody brilliant, and I don't think there's a dissenting voice in the room. We're going to have a Zoom chat tonight, so if anybody fancies another chat afterwards with a glass of wine, I might have some Benylin. But if you fancy a chat afterwards, it's www.glasgowapollo.com/Zoom. I noticed James is already on there, Andy, so he's definitely keen.
Oh, he's keen.
Yeah, but it'd be great to see you over there, folks. Keep questions coming. And if there's any other questions you have for Tom, that would be great. We'll pass them on to him, and I'm sure he would answer any questions he might have for you from the Apollo or any other time. So you've been listening to 3 hours of Glasgow Apollo live. Me, Scott MacArthur.
Me, Andy Muir.
Remember, Zoom, www.glasgowapollo.com/
I popped it in.
Good man. Thank you. Good night, everybody. See you next week, hopefully.
See ya.
Good night. If I can find how it finished the show, because there's that many questions. Here we go. See, I got the wrong one. You see. This is because I can't see the keyboard.